Good evening, I'm Adam. Tonight, we bring you breaking news from one of the world's most volatile regions, where the stakes could not be higher. Tensions between the United States and Iran have erupted in the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway that serves as a vital artery for global oil shipments. Every day, millions of barrels of oil pass through these waters, making it a critical choke point for the world economy. Any disruption here sends shockwaves across continents, affecting fuel prices and energy security worldwide. Earlier today, U.S. Navy forces engaged in a fierce confrontation, destroying 16 Iranian fast attack boats after they aggressively approached American warships at high speed. The Iranian vessels, known for their maneuverability and unpredictability, closed in dangerously, prompting a swift and forceful response from the U.S. fleet. The engagement was both swift and decisive, marking the most direct and intense clash between the two nations in recent years. Explosions lit up the night sky, and the sound of gunfire echoed across the water, leaving no doubt about the seriousness of the encounter. The Pentagon has confirmed that, remarkably, there were no American casualties in the incident. However, Iran has reported significant loss of life among its naval personnel, with funerals already being planned for those lost in the confrontation. This action signals a dramatic shift in U.S. policy, from a posture of deterrence to one of active engagement. Military analysts suggest this could mark the beginning of a new, more aggressive phase in U.S.-Iran relations, with unpredictable consequences. The world is now on edge, as any disruption in the strait threatens not only global oil supplies but also the stability of international markets. Stock prices have already begun to fluctuate, and energy companies are bracing for further volatility. Allies of the United States are urging caution and restraint, while Iran's partners have condemned the U.S. strike, calling it an act of unprovoked aggression. Diplomatic channels are buzzing as world leaders scramble to prevent further escalation. The Gulf's once quiet waters have now become the flashpoint for a conflict that many have feared for decades. The presence of heavily armed warships on both sides has transformed the region into a potential battleground. As military leaders hold urgent meetings and warships mobilize under the cover of darkness, it's clear that this naval battle is only the beginning of a rapidly escalating crisis, one that could reshape the balance of power in the Middle East and beyond. In Washington, President Trump issued a stern warning to Tehran. Any further aggression will be met with overwhelming force. He left a narrow opening for diplomacy, suggesting peace was possible if Iran abandoned its nuclear ambitions and support for proxies. The message was clear: pressure Iran into submission, but offer a way out. Iran's response was swift and defiant. Supreme Leader Khamenei condemned the U.S. attack as piracy and vowed retaliation. Iranian commanders threatened U.S. warships and declared the Strait of Hormuz a potential graveyard for American forces. Tehran rejected Trump's offer for talks, calling it insincere. The window for de-escalation slammed shut. The war of words had set the stage for a war of weapons. Words quickly gave way to devastating action. The U.S. launched missile strikes on IRGC bases and command centers inside Iran, claiming to cripple Iran's military capabilities. President Trump declared victory, but Iran responded with ballistic missiles targeting U.S. bases in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. Some missiles were intercepted, but several struck their targets, turning the conflict into a multi-front regional crisis. Sirens wailed across cities as explosions rocked the night. Iran proved it could absorb a blow and strike back, shattering hopes for a quick resolution. Both sides were now locked in a dangerous cycle of attack and reprisal. As military exchanges intensified, civilians paid the price. U.S. strikes, though aimed at military targets, caused collateral damage. Missiles hit a school and hospital in Bandar Abbas. Iran accused the U.S. of war crimes, releasing images of wounded children. Over 500 civilians were reported killed, thousands injured, and tens of thousands displaced. Israeli strikes on western Iran flattened neighborhoods and cut off essential services. Fear and chaos gripped families across the region. Iran's counterattacks also endangered civilians in Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the Gulf. Missile debris and stray projectiles caused injuries and property damage far from the front lines. The line between soldier and civilian blurred, and no one felt safe. The conflict had become a nightmare for millions. The U.S.-Iran confrontation sent shockwaves across the Middle East. In Lebanon, Israeli jets clashed with Hezbollah, sparking retaliatory strikes and threatening a new war on Israel's northern border. Iran and its allies launched drone and missile attacks on the UAE and Saudi Arabia, disrupting airports and oil facilities. The Houthis in Yemen intensified attacks on Saudi targets, overwhelming defenses and igniting fires at oil sites. The region became a chaotic, multi-front battlefield. Iran's network of proxies, Hezbollah, militias in Iraq and Syria, and the Houthis put immense pressure on U.S. allies. Every strike risked triggering retaliation elsewhere, making containment nearly impossible. The Middle East was sliding toward a war of unprecedented scale. The stakes had never been higher. This conflict is not just a battle between nations, it's a proving ground for the most advanced military technology ever developed. On these front lines, innovation is tested under fire, and the results will shape the future of warfare for decades to come. The U.S. has deployed Super Hornets and Tomahawk cruise missiles, unleashing precision strikes from hundreds of miles away. These aircraft and missiles represent the cutting edge of modern firepower, capable of hitting targets with pinpoint accuracy, while keeping pilots and operators far from danger. Each Tomahawk missile costs millions of dollars, and already, hundreds have been launched in this conflict. The sheer scale of munitions used highlights the enormous financial stakes involved in sustaining such high-tech warfare. To defend against relentless swarms of cheap Iranian drones and missiles, U.S. and allied forces are forced to fire costly Patriot interceptors. This creates a war of economic attrition where every defensive action comes with a hefty price tag. Iran's strategy is simple but effective. Overwhelm advanced defenses with sheer numbers. By launching waves of inexpensive drones and missiles, they force their adversaries to spend vast sums just to keep up, turning the conflict into a battle of budgets as much as technology. But the fight isn't limited to the skies or the battlefield. The battle now extends deep into cyberspace, where both sides target communications networks, power grids, and financial systems, seeking to disrupt and destabilize their opponents without a single shot fired. Disinformation campaigns and cyber attacks add new layers of chaos and confusion, blurring the lines between truth and propaganda and making it harder than ever to know what's really happening on the ground. Autonomous drones and advanced guidance systems are transforming the battlefield, making combat faster, more unpredictable, and increasingly driven by artificial intelligence rather than human decision alone. Warfare has fundamentally changed. Now it is remote, relentless, and more costly than ever before. Decisions are made in seconds and the consequences ripple across continents. The future of conflict is unfolding before our eyes, driven by technology, innovation, and the relentless pace of change. As the conflict rages in the region, the United States makes a decisive move by deploying the USS George W. Bush, a massive floating fortress and a powerful symbol of American military might. This formidable warship is not just a vessel, it's a statement of intent, projecting strength and determination across the waves. As a Nimitz-class carrier, the USS George W. Bush brings overwhelming firepower and advanced technology to the theater. Its presence reassures anxious allies, signaling that the U.S. stands ready to defend its interests and support its partners in the region. The carrier group's arrival is a clear message to both friends and foes. When the USS George W. Bush enters Middle Eastern waters, it signals Washington's readiness for a sustained engagement, not just a quick strike. The ship's arrival is a turning point, showing that the U.S. is prepared for a long-term commitment if necessary. On board, the carrier's air wing, comprising over 60 advanced aircraft, stands ready to dominate the skies, conduct surveillance, and suppress enemy defenses. These jets can launch at a moment's notice, providing unmatched air superiority and rapid response capabilities. Surrounding the carrier, a formidable strike group of destroyers, cruisers, and submarines forms a protective shield. Their layered defenses guard against threats from the air, the sea, and even beneath the waves, ensuring the carrier's safety in hostile waters. For the United States, this deployment is a clear show of resolve and commitment to regional stability. But for Iran, the presence of such a powerful force just off its coast represents a monumental threat and a constant reminder of American reach. With tensions running high, the risk of miscalculation rises dramatically. Even a small incident or misunderstanding could quickly spiral out of control, potentially sparking a catastrophic battle with far-reaching consequences. Around the globe, governments and ordinary people alike watch these developments with a mix of hope and anxiety, hoping that the show of force will deter conflict, but fearing that escalation could be just one mistake away. I'm Adam. Thank you for joining us as we continue to follow these critical events shaping our world.